This is the State of the Fan Address, episode 317, titled Hughes Deal! I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with pucksandpitchforks.com editor-in-chief Nick Villano, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. Coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios inside the bunker in both North and South Jersey. Streaming cross-continent around the world, because I know all the Aussie Devils fans are chiming in, the ones from the UK. We've got fans in Switzerland, Norway, Australia, I mentioned that before, India, the number one New Jersey Devils podcast in the country of India. But we got a big podcast for you guys, because we're bringing an old friend of the show, old friend of the podcast. I want
an old friend of the Devils, who's back to being friends with the Devils.
Yeah, and on top of that, Hardball's back at these pressers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it's already started.
Yeah, well, you know, he's a great friend of the podcast. Love his work. Should I do the introductions, or are you going to do that?
You didn't tell me he was here, so yeah, you do the introduction.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Our guest is in the Andy Green room right now, setting up. But if you want to introduce him, I think he's ready.
Yeah. Listen, we got Ryan Novozinsky of NJ.com, an old friend of the podcast, now back to being a friend of the podcast because he's back on the beat this year, back to covering the New Jersey Devils. Bring him on. Welcome back to Let's Go Devils podcast. Ryan, how you doing?
You guys are crazy if you think I ever stopped being a friend of the podcast, baby. What's going on, boys?
Once a friend, always a friend. We've actually had people move to other beats and then come back on the podcast.
Amazing.
So, Shanna Goldman used to cover the Devils a lot. She comes on the podcast still. So there's definitely people who go to other beats but still keep their ear in. I'll actually tell you, Ryan, my white whale that I've never been able to get on this podcast is actually Tom Galiti. He covers the Caps now, but he's like the old Devils beat writer. So that's my white whale, and it's mostly just because I can't find his email. I have it somewhere. Like, I have NHL media guys where I can find it, but it's like trying to find the right time, right? You don't want to, like, jump into these things. But, in 20 years, there's going to be guys like me who you're going to be their white whale. So it's gonna be an exciting time.
We'll see, man. We'll see. I'd love that.
Now, listen. This is. I'm going to ignore your T-shirt for a minute. I'm sure
I know.
I'm
kind of multitasking right now. With all due respect.
Oh yeah, it's all good. We're all kind of doing the same thing. We appreciate. I mean, listen. You've probably been multitasking all day. It's a crazy day. Can you tell us what you know about what unfolded today? Like, did something change last night? Or was this always in the works? What do you know about how this all unfolded with the Luke Hughes?
Yeah, so from what I understand, like things have been pretty positive over the past couple of days, but last night is really when things started to get the snowball effect pretty much happened. The ball kept rolling, but it was I heard in the past couple of days that 6 to 8 was that kind of range that they wanted. Like, I thought that we might see a number under 9 at 6 years in the past couple of days. And that might be like in the 8.5 million range or whatever. But then it ended up being that 7 number, which I think is actually kind of the perfect sweet spot, right? It allows them not to go the full length. It allows, the agent to get what he wanted kind of thing. And then it allows Fitzgerald to get what he wants, which is pretty much, he got a long-term deal. Like that is still a long-term deal, I would say. And I'd say too, like if it was even that 6 through 8 number, I think it starts at 6, but 7 is really above 7 is the sweet spot there where you want to get to. You want Luke Hughes to be inked that long. But again, he still gets to say, hey, we didn't have to sign him the full term, so sure, we can readjust when the cap goes up in 7 years.
Absolutely. Now, you reported a couple weeks ago that the Luke Hughes camp was coming up with 5. That's what I don't know if it was their starting ask, but at that point in negotiations or a little before that, they were looking at 5 years, and that obviously coincides with Jack Hughes. It does 2 things actually, which the one is the one I kept pointing to where it was like GMs never sign only RFA years. They always want some UFA years to sign, but it just happened to also coincide with Jack's deal. Do you think those extra 2 years will, I don't know if like stop the conversation around it is what I'm looking for, but like, do you think that that's long enough to where it'll quell these rumors, it'll stop having us look so far ahead and maybe focus a little bit more on the like the right now with the Hughes brothers?
I think so, and even when that story gets reported, it's the way someone framed it to me was exactly that. The Hughes brothers want to line it up, but like you said, there's that other aspect there too. I think the 2 years does quell that a little bit, right? Because at this point, and not that I don't even think necessarily that throughout this whole process I was exactly like worried about the Hughes brothers, and I even said that in my initial report. Having the Hughes brothers leave at the same time, having this mass exodus, that would leave the Devils like something nuclearly bad would have to happen to the Devils at that point, and some team would have to scrounge together. I mean, what's the number there?
40 million,
to sign all 3
45 million.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I don't even think it would be possible. Like the one thing I saw online is like, all right, if the Blackhawks just kind of stayed bad but kept Bedard, and in 2030 they just so happen to have just Bedard on their roster, and that was the only way that it would be possible. Or if like the team like the Red Wings just completely cleared house because they wanted to build around the Hughes Bros. Obviously, a good team to build, a good trio to build around. But look, you know how it works, Nick. Like this whole process, everyone's asking, oh, like what's the Luke Hughes update? What's the latest on Luke Hughes? So when I get an update on Luke Hughes, that I don't necessarily think that this was like not at all. I don't think this was a sticking point at all, as you saw the deal got done today. I think that there was just a point in the negotiations, and I mentioned this on Twitter at the time, that this was part of an ask, right? Like, and it could have just been a leverage thing. It could have been just a negotiation tactic from the agent, but that was part of the ask. But I think that 7-year thing kind of quells all those rumors, hopefully.
So we've heard a lot about gaps. Do you think the term or the money was the biggest gap? Which one do you think was the most the reason why it's happening October 1st instead of September 1st?
The term, I think, prolonged this the most. They to the point where they stopped negotiating for weeks, right? LeBron tweeted it out today, right? Like and can confirm this. Like it was the 16, like they were trying to line it up. Like at first, like the number that they settled on was the 6 years, right? Like that's what they thought they were going to do. And then things just kept kind of changing. The Devils kept pushing for more. This is all, it all kind of, again, snowballed into today. I think they agreed on this 7 years thing a couple days ago, or maybe a couple weeks ago. I can't remember exactly. But then today, the way that this all got done was, sorry, I'm trying to explain this. Like, there's a million different thoughts in my head. I got 3 hours of sleep last night, and I tried to take a nap today, but then Luke Hughes happened. So it started as the original sticking point was the term, right? That was the original thing that the two sides couldn't agree on. And then it evolved into the two sides couldn't agree on the salary number once they agreed on the term, which is obviously the 7 years. That's what I think went down in the negotiations, from what I understand from a couple calls I made today. But, again, a lot of these things, like these negotiations are tough, man. Like things change every day. Like I think even people there's some details that even get kind of lost in there. It was a grind. Like I think it was a respectful grind. Like I don't think things necessarily got you remember the Jesper Bratt stuff. Like it was pretty that was a freaking Fitzgerald even said, I think on record, this was one of the toughest. That was one of the toughest negotiations that he did. This one, I think both sides were cordial. It was just, I could see why fans were the whole time were just handcuff each other to the table and get this deal done.
Yeah, it seems when the report came out that it was about money, that was the weird part. Where I think LeBron said that it sounds like there's a gap in, like, they figured out the term, and you're talking about the 6 years. It seems like they landed on that term. Now, what does 6 years look like? Now, we all assumed they were talking about 8 years, and they're like, oh, they landed on term. They're long-term deal, whatever. Like,
Right.
So, like, all right, well, like, I'm thinking, like, Hughes' team is coming in at 10 and Fitz is coming in at 7 or something like that, if they're looking at that long-term deal. But I would assume, it's almost the opposite. Like, a lot of these GMs, they, like with the Mitch Marner trade or the Mitch Marner deal, they said that because they gave him the 8th year, they were able to lower the AAV. I almost believe like this one was the opposite. Like, if you add more years, I'll add more money, because I'd rather, like, at a 5-year deal, I'll give you $5 million and just take it. Like, if you're going to, like, handcuff me like that, like, whatever. It's probably more than that. But did you kind of see it the same way, where if you agree to stay here longer, I don't mind paying you more because they have that security? Or do you think that Fitzgerald was trying to stretch this deal out? The total number is larger, but the AAV is smaller. I don't know. Like, I just can't see Luke Hughes getting 10 on any deal. So that's why I'm trying to, like, that's how it's, like, making sense in my head.
I think this 9 number was just kind of the sweet spot, right? Like, I'm sure the camp was pushing for more. I don't know that for a fact. But that 9 number is, let's face it, man, it's going to look good. It's going to look good. Like, we think that Luke Hughes is going to develop the same way his brothers do, and have. I think this is going to be one of those contracts you talk about in a number of years that where you just say, like, hey, like this is one of the best contracts in the league. Especially if that cap number keeps going up and up and up, which again is all just projections right now, but it seems pretty optimistic. Listen, this again, like I said, was a grind. I can't say for a fact that whether what Fitzgerald's mindset was there when he's trying to figure out like all right, term versus salary, and am I willing to give him a little bit more to stretch it out? But it wouldn't surprise me at all, right? Like, it's a decent theory to have there. I would imagine that would be Fitzgerald's mindset is whatever we can do to make this the longer deal.
Yeah, I agree. So let me ask you about the player. Now, I've done a lot of writing on this, and obviously I think all of us have written probably 40 articles on Luke Hughes at this point. It's probably something we've written weekly.
I'm tired of writing it, man.
But I did write something today just on okay, now let's talk about the player. And I don't know if you've seen this, but this is a stat for you to take for free. In the last 22 games of last season, he scored 22 points. When the Devils were like floundering, Luke Hughes was their best player. So I think there's a place where he could bring that into this year. The thing that worries me is the shoulder surgery and the missing training camp. Like, I don't know how those two things are going to affect the start of his, building up towards the season. So I guess there's two parts to this question. A, do you see any impact on growth just for this season? Do you see like maybe a slow start or anything? And also, do you think he's like has enough time now to be ready for opening night on the 9th?
I think that if there's anyone that could push through the Yankees scored. If there's anyone that could push through the training camp, missed training camp slump, I guess, it is somebody in the Hughes family. Because Quinn Hughes has already done that. Quinn Hughes, when he missed training camp due to his holdout, he was still at almost a point per game. I think that was 2021. This is a guy that I'm sure. We're going to ask him tomorrow, but I'm sure has been training hard. Keith talked about the other day.
Training camp last year. He had showed
exactly.
He was all something with slang last year. Yeah, so
exactly. That's a great point. Keith talked about the other day. Like, listen, like the part of missing training camp, it's not necessarily just the on ice stuff that you worry about. It's kind of like the camaraderie. It's kind of like the team meeting and stuff like that. He's with his brother. I think that
that was a good
gonna
report by you. That was a really good report. That was the great question you asked Keith, and getting him to kind of open up about that. That was a good.
Thank you. No,
Even though the article even though the contract's been signed, if you haven't read Ryan's article from yesterday on Keith and his reaction, like it was a great article. So I would recommend anybody read that.
Thank you. No, thank you. Listen, I think that, but I think part of the worry that goes away there is, of course, yeah, you miss all the in-person stuff, but this is still a guy that his brother's on the team. His brother, I assume lives with him. And this, I think they're still roommates together. And has been updating him every day, right? Luke Hughes, just because he was unsigned, isn't just some, recluse, right? Like this is somebody that still is involved with the team. And I don't really worry about the slump because of his brother, because of him, and because of how much training I'm sure he did this summer. I'm eager to see what Luke Hughes looks like this season, man. It's going to be the storyline to follow, right? So he's going to have to take over that PP1 quarterback, right? Like this is his time, man. If you ask Jack, like he should have that role.
The one way I wouldn't do that, I think in a theoretical world you should. The one thing that's like pausing me is I really like Luke Hughes and Simone Nemitz on that second power play together with like Gritzik and Dodonoff and either Mercer or Nason or however that like lands. That's the one way where I was like, you don't put Luke Hughes on PP1 because he was great on power play 1 last year, obviously when Hamilton was out and when he took it over too. But that's where I'm like playing around with the lines, which I'm sure you're doing the same thing. Playing around with the units. I'm like, it just looks real good to me, but that's not why you do these things. If he's better on that, the minute and 20 seconds that you're doing for PP1, you're going to put him on PP1. But while you have Hamilton here, I would take advantage of it, but I kind of want to move to that. We only have you for a couple more minutes. I want to get you to your game, but what's the next move? You have Kovacevic, which, you had that, the tweet out today. I don't know if you wrote about it, but you had the tweet out today saying that like, even if you put Kovacevic on LTIR, there's still space missing, but you can play around with like, McDermott or some of those other higher salary, lower lineup guys and get to the floor. But when Kovacevic comes back, then there's nothing to do unless someone else gets hurt. So what do you think the plan is? Is the plan like see if someone else gets hurt because that's how it's always been, or do you think the plan is did Fitzgerald put himself on the clock and he has 3 months to make a trade? And who would you trade? Would you trade Hamilton or Palat?
Yeah, no, it's all interesting. I think that if you ask Devils fans, I think they would sign up. They would probably drive Palat to the Newark airport, right? But listen, this is one of those things that, from what I understand, Fitzgerald already has a plan and set. Like this is whatever the plan is, it's already in set. That's what I asked around today. That was the answer I got. So I wouldn't be surprised if things if the ball gets rolling quicker than usual here, and now I say that that's gonna age poorly, but that's from what I understand. The first move obviously is Kovacevic, right? Like that's putting him on LTIR. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that semi soon here, right? What comes from there? Someone asked me today, and this is all the second move is still the educated guess because I haven't been able to figure that out. Is it burying McDermott? Is it burying McDermott? Is it is there a Nason LTIR thing that we could do there just to buy some time?
I think it's really hurt. I think they're hiding something. Not hiding, but I think he's out for at least a month. But I think he's.
And it's how weird is that? Like that injury that it's kind of like flown under the radar. Like Stefan Nason is definitely thanking Luke Hughes for kind of being the distraction there. But they straight up said, like Fitzgerald says on the record, that he had a procedure, and it didn't really sound like they were happy about it. You know what I mean? Like they didn't.
I was going to ask. It sounded like they were mad about it. But and there's a couple places you could go, but it's like, to me, it sounds like that same procedure that Palat got the first year with the Devils, and he was out for what was he, 3 or 4 months?
Yeah,
it was it was a while, and I think somebody did Lazar get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think we're seeing him in October. Is the point?
No, as I kept thinking about this today, I was like, that might be the one. Maybe it's Nason.
Now, is there any difference? Like, once you're in LTIR, doesn't matter if you have one guy or two guys. I know you can't accumulate cap space, but does it matter how many guys you have on LTIR outside of the space that you're given to kind of replace those players? Like, is there any advantage to trying to make it work with Nason just on IR?
It's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm gonna do the thing where I just say I don't know. I have to.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think it's a detriment. I can reach out to my friends at Puckpedia. They've been really good to me through this whole process as I play around with their GM tool to try to make more money appear. All right, my last question for you, Ryan, is I kind of want to like move away from the Luke Hughes and all the impacts of that, and I kind of want to look at the season. You know, you're jumping back in. You're going from a dumpster fire in New York or New Jersey to a situation that I think Devils fans think look worse than it actually is. What do you think of this team? Do you think this is a metropolitan contender? Do you think this is a more than that? Like, what's the ceiling on this Devils team?
As I came back in, the one thing that I just kept hearing over and over again, and I'm studying like restudying the roster and everything like that. I kept kind of a, bit of a close eye on it last year, but the one thing I kept hearing over and over again is, oh, there's so many, like this top six is a mess. This bottom six is the bottom six from hell. That's how you would make it sound like if you were like basically, me coming back in and diving back in and you just hear, like what everyone's saying about the team. As I look at it more, I don't think it's as bad as I don't think there's as many gaps or holes as everyone thinks. People always talk about the top six wing that they need to get. I agree, like they should get one, but that's kind of a luxury item, right?
Yeah.
This top six is good. Like 4 of the 6 guys are really, really good. 2 guys, Dadonov with Bratt and Hughes has looked pretty darn good in camp. I don't know why it works. It just does. Dadonov is very quick. So look, I think this team is going to exceed expectations, and that's only because I think Devils fans have a lot of low expectations. I think they are definitely going to compete in the Metropolitan Division. I think a lot of their players, like the vibe that I'm getting right now around the locker room, and we actually haven't even had open locker room yet, but we've had a couple opportunities to talk to players just one-on-one and stuff like that. The vibe that I'm getting in that room is, I don't think I've ever seen some of these players as determined as they are.
Okay.
Nico Hischier the other day, 2 weeks ago when he first spoke at camp, he used the phrase next step. We got to take the next step. He used that phrase like I want to say 9 different times in his press conference. Okay. And when I talked to him the other day, I kind of brought that up and he's like, yeah, like this is the most motivated I've ever been. And because I mentioned that and he said, he almost like interrupted me and said that. I think that this is a guy, like if they feed off that and if they buy into Keefe, who I think is a really good coach, and I've really liked our interaction so far. No yelling at me so far.
I'm just glad he thinks you know hockey well.
There you go. Yeah, we'll see about that. I think that this could be a really good team. And let's face it, man. With the injuries that Florida has right now, that's a window of opportunity that they're going to have to take advantage of.
Yeah, I think I actually did write about this like 2 days ago, that the East has opened up. The East is now the worst conference because Florida is in shambles. Tampa has just been, they can't get over that hump. They always make the playoffs. They always look like a really good team in the regular season. Can't get over that hump. Toronto's missing Marner and didn't really do anything this offseason. They're just kind of like, yeah, we got it. It's fine. So you lose like one of the best players in the league and then just like, yeah, we're fine. And everybody's kind of off the Austin Matthews train, which is weird.
Yeah.
And then like everybody's like all up in, in love with Ottawa and Montreal, but like I don't know. That was the bottom of that division was really weak last year, and they, Macho especially like just banked points against bad teams a lot and didn't really do much in the playoffs. So I'm not really like that impressed with them. And then the Metro's like terrible. Like Philadelphia looks terrible. Pittsburgh looks terrible. New York or the Islanders might be terrible. I think they're terrible, but I have a lot of Islanders friends who come on the podcast, so I'm going to be nice. But I think they might just be in that bottom tier. And then I'm not sold on Columbus. I'm not sold on the Rangers. I think it's Carolina's division. Then the Devils are in a tier next to them, and then it's everybody else after that. Maybe the Rangers are in their own tier below the Devils, but I think it's a bad division.
Of the teams you mentioned, man. I mean, again, like I'll reiterate reiterate your point. The only teams that really worry me are Carolina. Man, like you say Tampa, and I agree with you, but they're just such a well coached team that you kind of they're probably saying the same thing. Like on lightning bolts and pitchforks, they're probably saying the same thing. You know what I mean? Like East is for the taking right now. Does Buffalo scare you? No, I'm joking.
I don't think their owner knows hockey well, but that's.
I agree.
I think Buffalo. I think Buffalo might get McKenna. Like I think Buffalo's going to be bad. I just thought like they have all the talent in the world, but
I think the Bruins. I think the Bruins might get McKenna.
That they might. The reason why I think they wouldn't is Swayman. I think Swayman bounces back, and I think Swayman is still one of the best goalies in the world. But they might. Ryan, I have a million other things I want to talk to you about. I don't want to take any more of your time, so I'll let you go. Take a minute to kind of plug what you got coming up this week. Why people are going to subscribe to NJ.com. Anything that's going to be cool coming out, over the first month of the season, and then we'll definitely have you on again so we can talk more.
So the only thing that I will tease right now is that, well, first of all, we got a lot of Luke Hughes stuff coming tomorrow. We have, we're going to be talking to him. And number two is we are going to be changing the way we do coverage this year. Basically, it's going to look a whole lot different. More on that this week. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I love that.
That's all I can say right now.
Can you tell us if it's written or video or social? Is there a direction or?
No comment.
Okay. I'll let you guys come out. Do you know when that's being announced?
This week, I think we're doing. Okay. I'm actually not going to go to the preseason game tomorrow because we're doing some tests for it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so before the season, before the game one.
Yeah. I think our debut. Yeah, we're definitely announcing it like soon. We're debuting it like I think game one.
Okay, that sounds amazing. Really looking forward to it. Looking forward to all kinds of new creative coverage. That sounds exciting, Ryan. Ryan, it's so good to have you back on the beat. Always a friend of the podcast.
Let's go, baby.
It's going to be a great season. Go watch your game. We appreciate you and all the reporting that you've done. So take care. We'll see you again soon.
Good to see you too, Sam Wu.
Oh, it's good to see you as well. I'm wearing the Portland Sea Dogs hat, by the way.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Very ready. I love it.
Yeah. Sam just kind of pushes the buttons in the background to make sure that I sound good and you sound good and we all look as good as we can.
Yep.
Sam
we appreciate Sam.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. That's why he has a Twitter account still. All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Later, gentlemen.
Yeah, that's Ryan Novozinsky of NJ.com. I love the no comment question.
I had to ask for a little, you always want, but I think he's a reporter, he's a journalist. You always want to be like, okay, you said no, but I'm going to ask one more time. Maybe you'll tell me, So I think he appreciates that kind of reporting, right? I was reporting on the reporter, but no, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Listen, here's the thing is that NJ.com has been doing the thing for a long time. They had a weird spell, and then Ryan came in and reinvigorated their coverage. And then Ryan left. We had Gabe. Gabe was, he needed time to get acquitted, and it wasn't for him. He's now, I think he's in politics or something. Mm-hmm. So, clearly it just wasn't for him, and that's okay. I'm so happy that they went in this direction where they're going to reinvest, it sounds like, in Devils coverage, which is, for so long we've talked about how there's no investment in this coverage. For the longest time, I could boast about being the top dog. And it's just not the case anymore. Now the competition is fierce. I got to be honest. Like, it's, I think that, there was not to get into the nitty gritty, but there was a Google update that really impacted a lot of all of our traffic, and it's got us all fighting for scraps. But I know a lot of us have recovered to a point where we were at kind of like close to a place where we were before, if not at the place we were before. So, it was an interesting kind of interim to kind of see like how we're all gaining coverage. But I think when you look at us, the Pucks and Pitchforks and the writers that we have, when you look at All About the Jersey, when you look at, what James is doing at Hockey Now, Ryan coming back, NorthJersey.com has been back investing. Robert Aiken was covering the Devils for the playoffs last year. And hockey, the hockey writers is Daniel, who we're going to get on the podcast soon. Christie's been killing it at the Hockey News, and then they've reinvested with some more writers there. The Devils beat better. It's definitely better than it was the last 2 or 3 years. I wouldn't say 3 years. 3 years ago, it was really good too. But last year, it was us. It was Nichols. It was All About the Jersey was kind of doing its thing, but they do it kind of differently than all of us. We had Daniel was in his first year, and we would send. This year I'll say Ryan's talking about different coverage. Coverage could be different for us this year too, because I lost the 2 guys I had, the one guy and the one woman who I had go into games, who's on the beat. So you're looking at the beat guy. This is me. I'm going to be the one going to games. I'm going to be the one talking to the guys and reporting. And, it's not something I can do daily. I just, with the way, with my, Sam knows about my life situation, and it's just not something I can get to the rink daily like he can. But, I am going to go for all the big moments and all the big games. I'll be there on opening night. I'll be shaking hands and kissing babies and talking to players and, hopefully getting the scoops. And I'm really excited about this season, Sam. I think here's the thing, Sam. Every time we have a big offseason, we have a bad season. Every time we win the offseason, we lose the regular season. Every time we have kind of a quiet offseason, except in 2019 or in 2018-19, we had a quiet offseason. That was probably the worst year we've had since the rebuild. But every other time, we have this quiet offseason where you do something. Right? Ray Shero, 2018 was the weirdest offseason because he did nothing. I've never seen it before where you didn't sign anybody of note, you didn't trade for anybody of note, you just did nothing. So I think I like it.
I think he was tied up with the Taylor Hall contract. And plus,
maybe.
And plus,
he also thought John Quenneville was going to be an NHL player, and he just wasn't. Something happened that offseason that he stopped being good.
Yeah.
There was a couple guys up and coming then. I'll tell you this, Sam. I haven't felt this good about the Devils' depth in years. I'm going to name the guys who I think can play NHL games. Not are going to be forced to, who can play NHL games, who aren't going to make the roster. Brian Hallinan, Angus Cruikshank, Thomas Bordeleau. I think Ryan Schmelzer can play that fourth line role. He's Curtis McDermott, I think should be in the NHL, but if he's not, there's a couple other guys that there's I can't say that he's got the double M name. He's the center. He's the prospect center that his name is escaping me. But do you know what I'm talking about? Matthias? Matt? Is that not?
I have to look.
Yeah, I can't. His name is like I can't remember how to say his name, but Lenny Haminaho, I think could play NHL games right now. I think Shane LaChance can play NHL games right now. I think Juho Lamiko. I think he's going to make the roster. I just wrote an article that said he shouldn't. He didn't earn it, but I think he's going to make the roster. I think he's good enough as a player. I just think he had a bad preseason. Mark McLaughlin is a guy that has had a lot of hype around him. Xavier Perrant is a guy that they kept on the roster instead of sending him to Utica camp, and it's something to pay attention to. He's not fighting for a roster spot, but Xavier Perrant is a guy who I think you should pay attention to because I think he can make his NHL debut this year. He's a guy that gets better every year. Since the Devils drafted him, every year he's getting better. So the Devils have so many players that can play NHL games, not because they have to, like the Justin Dowling situation, or the myriad of guys they've had over the past 4 seasons who just they had to force into the roles. They have a lot of guys who should play games, I guess is the word. And then on top of that, you look at the defense. Even with Kovacevic out, Seamus Casey would make a lot of teams. Seamus Casey would make a lot of teams as an NHL defenseman. And he just can't because Nemec came in and had a good camp. He looks like a player. I think the ceiling of Nemec is a lot lower than what he's not a number 1 guy, which is weird when you drafted him 2nd overall, and it is what it is. But I think he's going to be like the impact that like Nicholas Hjalmarsson had for those Chicago Blackhawks contending teams, or like that's probably good. He's a different player. Hjalmarsson was a defensive defenseman, but that kind of an impact where second line, solid guy. He's and you just stick him there and he's great forever. So I think that's going to be what you're going to get out of Nemec. And then you got Casey, who's this wild card who could score at any moment. Held his own. That was the thing. When I saw the conversation around Ethan Edwards, I was like, that's not the guy. He's there because he's left-handed. But if Luke Hughes really can't play or really is going to miss games, Seamus Casey's playing. He'll play on his offhand because you'll take the upside of he's got an NHL offensive skill set already.
Yeah.
So you take the guy with the NHL skill set, and then maybe there's a defensive detriment over a guy who, Edwards is a better defender than Casey, but he's got so much work to go on all of his game. I'm pleasantly surprised. I think he has NHL upside, which I didn't think he had after his 2nd year at Michigan. But yeah, Casey is a guy. He's a guy, and he's not going to make this team. And you have Chalowski, and then when Kovacevic comes back, you have 7 really good NHL guys. Do they trade one? Maybe. I don't know. Did you see my reporting? Actually, I want you to react to that, and then I'll ask you my question.
Well, getting back, are you talking about Milofsky?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the name, the pronunciation was not coming to me.
Yeah, I knew who you were talking about. He had a great prospect camp. I think he was on the first line. Doing very well.
I think it was with LaChance and Haminaho.
Yeah, that was a sick line. They gave you a kind of glimpse of the potential of the future. And what was your question again?
Did you see the reporting on Brendan Dillon's neck surgery?
No.
So he got the same surgery as Jack Eichel. I did this. Amanda Stein got this answer, but she's a Devils reporter, so she it was in a report that she did. So I think this is a big deal because you remember we talked about this in June that we might be talking about a buried contract forever, and he's back for Game 1. So, but that is the beauty of this it's an artificial disc replacement. There's a name for it. I don't know it off the top of my head, but artificial disc replacement surgery really, it turns you into a new person. It's almost like a knee replacement. You know what I mean? So you might get a better season out of Dylan than you did last year, where he struggled a lot because he was talking about it, and apparently the doctors were telling him, "You've been hurt. You just didn't know it. Like, this is not something like he didn't get hit, and then like the disc popped out. His discs wear over time, so he's been playing with this bad disc, which he said didn't hurt, but what it's probably doing is it's impacting his mobility. It's impacting his the way the brain waves like send to the system, so it's slowing things down a lot. If this worked, which it worked so well with multiple different athletes, including Eichel, he might be well worth his price. He brings such a different element. We have Jonas Siegenthaler and Kovacevic, who are these defensive defensemen, but they're not going to punch you in the face. Brendan Dillon, do you remember the Global Series? I believe they won those games the way they did because Brendan Dillon came out and crushed a guy and said, "This is us now. Try us. We'll beat you down." And as the year went on, Dillon couldn't do it as much. And I think Dillon he's going to lay the wood. I think he's the guy. Everybody's like, who's going to protect Jack Hughes? Brendan Dillon. Brendan Dillon's going to knock a guy out if he ever tries to go after Jack Hughes.
Yeah,
I like everything about this team.
Look, Jack Eichel came back and he injured Jack Hughes.
Right.
So I guess his neck is doing just fine. He's back to normal.
Yeah.
All kidding aside.
If only he could stop.
Well, I told you, I'm gonna do some research on that surgery. I believe it's. Remember how I told you that a friend of mine, also a friend of the podcast, was one of the founders and patented.
The innovator, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to find out a little bit more about that because I remember about 15, 20 years ago when they were going through clinical trials, that was the one thing that they talked about was the recovery time was so significantly better, and the testimonials coming out of those clinical trials is back to normal, very soon. So.
Yeah.
But look, Jack Eichel took a stand. He paid the price for it, but eventually it all worked out. Got traded, was able to get that surgery. Had the backing of the Vegas Golden Knights, and so far so good.
Yeah, and I think the Devils do give players a little bit more autonomy with their body, and I did notice the tone. I think Ryan brought this up as well with the Nason thing. I think that they thought, but again, I don't know if they were upset with Nason that he tried to work through it and then needed surgery, because that annoys a lot of people. That happens a lot, I feel like, in football, where football players will be like, "No, I'm fine," and then it'll hurt all off season, and then in August they'll be like, the doctors will take a look and be like, "You need surgery, dude." You know what I mean? And then they're out for weeks when they could have just done the recovery over the summer. So I think and I remember. Do you remember Matthew Tkachuk delayed his surgery to get married? There's it is what it is.
But he earned that right, though. He did earn that right.
He wins two Stanley Cups. You could do kind of whatever you want, and he's got to be back for the playoffs. And
yeah.
But that's the thing. I don't think Tkachuk could have ever thought that Barkov was going to go down, and they were going to be with both of them. Honestly, Sam, that October 16th matchup looks a lot better for the Devils, does it not? No Barkov, no Tkachuk.
It does. If you think about it,
they're still a good team, but
look, they start off the season against Carolina. After that playoff series last year, I think the guys are going to come out fired up down in Carolina because they weren't running on all cylinders. As a matter of fact, there were so many injuries. And then they're going to play Tampa on that second game. If they can carry that momentum on that Saturday down in Tampa, and then they're playing the Blue Jackets, the BJs on Columbus Day on that following Monday. So again, but now with what's going on with the Florida Panthers, I mean, they still have Marchand, they still have Bobrovsky.
Bennett,
Yeah, so
Reinhart,
but they're not, but they're not going to be.
Bobrovsky.
Yeah, so they're still a lethal team. They're just not, they're going to have some off nights. Naturally speaking.
Yeah, I think their goal is going to be 500 until Kachuk returns, and then just go on a run, and then maybe you build off that momentum. Or I wouldn't be surprised if they made a trade. Ryan talked about this. And I've said this. I don't know. I don't think I said it on the podcast yet, but I've said this to a lot of people. Like, I think this season is going to be an abnormal one as far as trades early in the season. I think a lot of teams think they're in it. I think every team thinks they're in it besides Chicago and Pittsburgh. I think every single team thinks they're in it.
Even Anaheim?
Yep. I think Anaheim thinks they're in it. I think San Jose thinks they have an outside chance to be in it. I think Buffalo thinks they're in it. I think Boston thinks they're in it. I think Nashville thinks they're in it. And they could be. These teams all have talent. That's the thing. These teams all have supreme talent and superstar level players. But if I'm the Devils, this is why I think the Hamilton trade is going to happen. Because if you trade Dougie Hamilton, you have enough money to... If you trade Dougie Hamilton in January, or if you trade Dougie Hamilton, and play Casey until January, you have enough to get Quinn. If the Quinn thing is off the table, like if Vancouver's good, okay. Now you can get Steven Stamkos, you can get Ryan O'Reilly, you can get trying to think of the guy, like the really good guys that might be available who you could get Jason Robertson. I don't think they're going to trade him, but he'll be out there. You could get Jordan Kyrou if St. Louis is bad. You could get Dylan Larkin if Detroit's bad. And I think all these teams have a chance to be McKenna bad. I don't think Boston's trading Pasternak. And actually, I'm thinking about it. Maybe you can't get Larkin. He might not have enough money. That one might be a little bit too rich, but I'd have to look at how it all works out with the cap accumulation. There's way if they held on to some money, but again, I think the Devils have a real chance to get a super duper star player. No, that's probably overanalyzing it. A Larkin level player. A top 25 player in the league. Top 25 forward. I think they have a chance to do that. And I don't think it's so obvious. You remember the Timo Meier thing? The Sharks were talking about that $10 million qualifying offer and not wanting to deal with it. So we knew that Meier was going to be available the year he was available. I think there's going to be some surprises, like the Marchand thing this year. That was kind of a surprise. Seth Jones was a surprise trade. I think you're going to get a lot. I think you're going to get some teams. I'm trying to think, it's hard to predict because, what if Florida's really bad? Do you make a move on, Bobrovsky? Do you make a move on, do you start selling pieces and be like, let's try again next year? Let's sell off some of these aging veterans? Or what if, I think Buffalo has a real chance to be like, we just didn't do this right. Let's build around Darlene, get what we can for everyone else. So I think, Tage Thompson could be on the table. There's a lot of options here. But that's months down the line. Sam, when I see you next week, it's going to be our season preview.
That's right. Wow, the season's about to start, isn't it?
We're going to have to talk. You're going to have to give me some extra time, and I'm going to have to get you some extra guests.
Well,
I have some in the chamber. We just have to confirm.
Okay.
Let's blow this out.
Oh, we're definitely.
We just have back to back. Like, let's talk before we go. Julius Stewart-Banks, Ryan Novozinsky back to back. We've come back to this guest thing, swinging for the fences.
Of course.
So, I think I got now. We got to keep it up.
You know who I love to get back on is Sam Fischler.
Yeah,
but we got to work on the
He's in
time
his
zone
90s,
thing.
man. But yeah, is he in Israel now? I know he came back for a little while, but is he back in Israel?
We should reach out to him. Good friend of the podcast. I want his wisdom.
He's
although
the most
today,
incredible mind in hockey history.
Today wouldn't be a good day because it's Yom Kippur today, right? Is it Yom Kippur today?
I think it was yesterday, wasn't it?
It was yesterday.
Is it today?
Oh.
I
depends what part of the world you're in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's September 30th, isn't it?
Was it?
Am I crazy?
I don't remember.
Okay. I apologize if I got that wrong. I thought it was September 30th, but either way, it's we'll get them on. We'll adjust our schedules and we'll make it happen. If he wants to go on at 6 a.m., I'll do a 6 a.m. feeding with the kid, and we'll do a Stan Fisher
or maybe Donnie Pucks, Don LaGreca.
Oh, yeah, I got to talk to him. Yeah,
we got some homework to do. Like. It's tonight and tomorrow, Yom Kippur. Says NY Davey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's
a few questions in the chat. Can we get to that real quick?
Yeah, let's get through them real quick.
Yeah. Here's a comment. Metalander, hey Sam, interesting parallel between the Mets and Devils. Both have individual achievers and no heart. Both had big starts, faded away at the end. There is a parallel, but I don't agree about no heart. I think the players have heart on both teams. Individual achievers, I kind of agree with that. Big starts.
With the Mets, it's just Soto, right? Everybody else is kind of like a team player, like a good for the goose, good for the gander guys.
I think you Yankee fans knock Soto a little bit too much. I was expecting to have this guy being a problem. The only thing he doesn't do is really hustle, while he's in the
You're making $600 million. Run to first base.
Yeah. Well, he learned his lesson. He adapted. I mean, his numbers
I saw a couple
good.
plays this year. I didn't watch a ton of baseball because I'm just going to be honest. I hate Aaron Boone. I can't.
Yeah.
So I think last night was my third Yankee game. I watch all the highlights. I watch highlights almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I just can't give Aaron Boone 3 to 3.5 hours of my life every night.
Yeah.
That's just kind of where I'm at. I was surprised the Mets didn't get rid of their manager.
But anyway,
no,
I don't think Carlos Mendoza is the problem. I think.
But like, is he the solution? Is the question.
To tell you the truth, he never lost control of that locker room. Everybody likes each other. It's some good team chemistry. I think Marte, was kind of the ringleader there.
Yeah.
Not to make this a Mets
You guys
podcast.
just didn't have pitching, right? Like the Mets just didn't have pitching.
Where
right?
the GM screw up was he trusted his analytics, and the analytics are garbage. And he basically said, we don't need to trade for starting pitcher. It's where it needs to be. And he read off all these analytic numbers. And guess what happened? They needed starting pitching. So, and then for whatever reason, Helsley in relief had the yips. And he basically lost him 9 games. Literally lost him 9 games. Like he was so bad. I think his ERA at one point was like 184. It was bad. So, Devil Heaven 7, Heaven 77 says, is American Whiskey fired up for the season? Absolutely. We'll be back at American Whiskey.
I'm ready.
We're ready. I'm actually building the studio.
I won't be having as many sangria pictures because I'll be covering. I'll have to be professional, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
And by the way, my jersey is going to be in my hands probably by tomorrow. I'm going to call the stitching company out in New York, and I'm going to have Palat's nameplate on it with the number 18. And as soon as that happens, you're going to see cap magic. I'm making a prediction right now. Because that's what usually happens.
I do think, Sam, there's a non-zero chance this happens before next week. I'll say that.
Yeah, but I'm to tell you the truth, I need to get this thing done. I'm not doing it. I'm doing it for the fans. They want me to do this. Do you think I really want to spend money on a jersey? Do you think I really want to spend money on a
I think you do because you want to always tell the story. You know that if you wear a Palat jersey in 5 years, people will be like, why? And you'll get to tell the story.
And it's just not Devils jerseys. Like other players from other sports, same thing. Like it's freaking horrible. Just horrible. Now I just gotta I don't know. I'm just too afraid.
Sam, I do want to ask you a question about today. Did today help? You've had a rough week in sports. Did today help? Are you healing thanks to Luke Hughes?
I'll tell you. Yeah, because I felt like there was some unfinished business that was bothering me. And the start of October, it was October 1st. I woke up this morning. I had a bad, the Penn State thing. And then my friend that felt bad for me wanted to introduce me to a friend that sits next to him at the Giants game, which is 10 rows off of 50-yard line, Coach's Club seats. Yeah. He wanted to introduce me to a fellow Penn Stater because he went to Penn State, so we can kind of mourn together after that debacle against the Ducks. The Giants surprisingly won. I had a great time, Jackson Dart's debut. Only to come home to the Mets. Only to come home to the Mets getting shut out after the Cincinnati Reds gifted them a loss. So I was really pissed off about that. And then this whole Luke Hughes thing is just kept on dragging and dragging. And I don't want to make this about me, but once that news finally broke, it was just I felt like the monkey was off my back since July 1st. I didn't realize how badly that affected me. I think what I did was I was trying to lie to myself that things are fine. And I've said it on this podcast. Oh, it's going to be fine. The Devils have this thing planned. It's going to they're going to get back to training camp, and voila, suddenly there's a signed contract. But that didn't happen. So it just kept on weighing at me and all that. Now I'm nicer to everybody today. I'm nicer to Mrs. Wu. She's noticing a pep to my step right now. So I feel good about it.
Yeah. I almost said a stupid joke. I stopped myself. So,
can you tell me off there?
It's not bad. I said our life looks like a Cialis commercial. That's what I was thinking. But it was a dumb joke. Yeah. Listen. Here's the thing. It's after the Yankees lost yesterday, it was just such a gross loss. West Virginia got just turnstiled by Utah of all teams. So it's very clear that my Mountaineers. I went to the backyard brawl. Mm-hmm. Me and my son went. I have videos of him singing Country Roads, and that's like a core memory for me now. Mm-hmm. So I got that out of the season. It was an amazing win. It was a comeback win. My son had the best time. But this team looks like it's unwatchable. So, and then I convinced my wife to play fantasy football this year, Sam.
Oh, wow.
And she's 0-4 with the second highest amount of points in the league. So, it's just how am I going to convince her to keep playing this thing that I love? She lost last week. She was waiting the whole time. And then lost on that Pickens touchdown with whatever amount of time, 30 seconds left.
That sucks. I've been there, done that.
Yeah, so it was the sports have not been nice to us. So yeah, it is. It's turn the page on September, October. Let's go. Let's go, October.
Oh,
I'm ready for hockey. I'm ready for the preview. Let's put out some times. Yeah,
Yep.
can we do that to let everybody know? Maybe a graphic. And we'll work on putting together a great show for next Wednesday. I'm really excited. And they play Friday, right?
Thursday. October 9th.
Thursday.
October 9th.
I knew it was the 9th.
Against Carolina. And of course, the NHL doesn't look like the Giants-Eagles are playing at the same exact time, although they're on the road,
Right, but, you're going to compete with the NFL local team? So stupid.
It's really
Anyway, it's the same. It's on the road in Philly. I live closer to Philly than I do to Giant Stadium.
No, it's at MetLife. It's at MetLife on October 9th.
Oh, the Devils are a road game. Got it.
Yeah.
But still, you're opening the season with a Giants home game. So dumb. Anyway, all right. Quick plugs for me, or if you're ready.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So we have 5 Luke Hughes articles out. We're gonna have more. I wrote 3 of them. The breaking news. I wrote a story about what I think he's going to look like now that he's signed. What is the season? I think he's going to get 60 points, Sam. That's my number for him. I think he's going to get 60 points. And I broke down the contract. What does he make each year? When do the no-trade clauses kick in? The no-trade clauses kick in at a very interesting time. That's my tease for that. So I break down the contract just by the dollars and cents of it all. We're going to have a bunch more. We had a couple of the national writers from Fanside to come and write about the Luke Hughes thing. So, talking about the number, we didn't talk a lot about it being 9, but we talked about it a little bit with Ryan. But it's a big number, but it's Sam. Craig from Pucks and Pitchforks wrote that it was going to be 9 in June 2024. We've known it's going to be 9, and I said last week, do you remember? I said 9.25. I was off by $250,000. So we were kind of right on the money with the money.
What did I say? Did I even say anything? Do you remember?
I think you said you agreed with me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you were just yep, that makes sense. But I told y'all last week we were going to have, I think, 20 articles over the week, and we did. So there's plenty of non-Luke Hughes stuff to read about at pucksandpitchforks.com. Go check it out. We had a story go up today on Kirill Kaprizov's mega deal and how it's going to impact the Devils. We have stories on Kevin LeBlanc got cut and whether the Devils should consider bringing him back to add even more depth to the team. There's a lot going on. It's all at pucksandpitchforks.com. We have dozens of articles that still have relevance that you should go and check out.
Great. I have nothing to plug other than keep it here. May have something special brewing. And that's about it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm just teasing right now. It's just like how Ryan teased us. I'm kind of wondering what they're doing. I'll talk to you off air about it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to hit the music. It was fun, Nick.
Another great one.
Yeah. Keep on coming. I want to thank all those tuning in, dropping the podcast in about 20 minutes. Because this was a great podcast. I'm going to do it quickly. And, that's it. Go to pucksandpitchforks.com.
Just one little note. Devils need to get cap compliant by Monday.
Monday.
Thursday. So we're going to see a lot happening over the weekend.
So basically, I better get that jersey nameplate order.
Get stitched quick.
Yeah, get it stitched. Alrighty. I'll see you later, folks. Till next time, let's go Devils.